All right, welcome everyone. I'm here to introduce the Chula Vista Elementary School District representatives that will be talking to you today. I have, they're sharing the same screen. I have Matthew Tessier, who is the assistant superintendent, and Francisco Escobedo, who is the superintendent of Chula Vista Elementary School District. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the mic. In 1 second, once I find their name. Okay.
Thank you, Dominic. Really appreciate you tremendously for all you do in organizing this, and Dr. Weber as well. And want to welcome everyone. I'm here with Dr. Tessier, my assistant soup, and also Gloria Cerisa will be presenting as well with us. If you can unmute her as well, Dominic, that would be great. And I just want to take time to welcome everyone. I see our president of the board, Armando Farias. Welcome. We have also trustee Francisco Tamayo as well. Amazing board members who have helped lead the way in really figuring out how do we bring our kids back in the safest way possible. And at the same time, how do we create a dynamic, rigorous learning environment while we are in distance learning? So again, we are committed in serving our community in a safe way, but at the same time providing a spectacular learning environment as well. So you're going to be hearing a recording, I believe, of our reopening plan, and then is my understanding we have about 20 minutes to provide any answers to any questions that you may have. So I'm going to leave the mic to Dr. Tessier.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And as Dr. Escobedo shared, it's a real honor to be here with you today. You'll hear about 20 minutes of a narrated presentation. And as Dr. Escobedo shared, we'll look at the chat box and any questions that we can answer between the three of us, we'd be happy to do so. So at this moment, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will go ahead and get right into the presentation.
Hello, and welcome to the Chula Vista Elementary School District Distance Learning Plan informational session. We are excited that you have joined us today, and we hope as this session concludes that you will walk away with more knowledge than you had before, ready to embark on our distance learning educational experience. Throughout this presentation, you will learn many things. Number one being, what is distance learning and how is it different from the COVID crisis teaching that was experienced back in March? You will also learn how you can best prepare and what resources are available for you as parents and community members to help support children. You'll also get a little understanding of what a potential student day might look like. And finally, you will have an understanding of the online platform that we will be utilizing in the Chula Vista Elementary School District. We are very fortunate within the Chula Vista Elementary School District to have a plethora of community partners helping support our children in providing a robust educational experience. From higher education partners like UC San Diego and San Diego State, to our bargaining unit members, Chula Vista educators, the Chula Vista Classified Employees Organization, the Chula Vista Chamber of Commerce, the City of Chula Vista. We take pride in all the partnerships we have to ensure that children receive the best education possible, because we know we can't do it alone. So what are we doing as a system to help mitigate the risk of COVID-19, not eliminating it? We do realize from our higher education partners, our health partners, that COVID-19 cannot be eliminated in the short term, but we can mitigate the risk substantially to ensure our children are safe, our staff members are safe, and we still provide a robust, rigorous learning experience for our kids. COVID-19, safely planning to get our kids back to school. What is it that the Chula Vista Elementary School District is doing to ensure that we can reopen in-person instruction? Because that is everybody's goal, from our parents, to our students, to our staff. We want to get the kids back to in-person instruction as quickly as possible, but as safely as possible. So there are 3 California Department of Public Health documents that we are utilizing. And you'll notice that one of them is guidance that has been published for the use of face coverings. This gives us information on how we should proceed with staff and student use of face coverings to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. You'll also notice that there is an overview of how schools and school districts may open for in-person instruction when specific criteria are met. For example, you'll see in-person reopening criteria that schools and school districts may reopen for in-person instruction at any time if they are located in a local health jurisdiction that has not been on the county monitoring list within the prior 14 days. These California Department of Public Health documents are ones that we will continue to follow to ensure our children are safe and our staff members are safe as we move forward in reopening in-person instruction. You'll notice that we're currently looking at 3 instructional models. An in-person instructional model when the risk level is low. You'll notice a hybrid learning model when the risk level is medium. And finally, the distance learning model. This is the model that is implemented when risk level is high. We currently are in the high risk level category. Therefore, we are in the distance learning model as we begin instruction August the 31st. Let's take a deeper look at each one of these instructional models. The in-person instructional model, which once again is our ultimate goal in the education community, but we will only do so when it is safe. The safety consideration here for the in-person learning model is when the risk level is low. And you'll notice one of the important external indicators is that community contagion rate is declining appreciably. When this risk level is low, full density of all students on all school sites. You'll notice a couple things with the on-site experience. They would include distancing norms that will be encouraged, but not possible in all situations. Personal hygiene protocols with greater responsibility shifted to students. You'll also notice COVID cleaning protocols in all spaces would be in full active use throughout the day. You'll also notice here that distance learning is still an option, and we'll talk a little bit about why in the subsequent slides. The hybrid learning model. Let's take a deeper look at the hybrid learning model. The safety considerations in this model are when the risk level is medium. External factors from federal, state, and local government advisories would show us that these following indicators need to be seen. The county has been removed from the California Department of Public Health monitoring list. The goal would be density reduction, or a target of 50% of the students on any campus at any given time. We would prioritize kindergarten, first, and second grade students at this time, focusing on our younger learners as they begin to be readers. We also know that it's a little bit less challenging for older students to be involved in distance learning at home. You would also see a greater use of outdoor spaces and designated zones that support those distancing norms. An on-site experience would include masks being required. It would be in situations where distancing norms are possible. You would also see personal hygiene protocols like hand washing strictly enforced. Childcare will be provided for essential workers and families of unduplicated students. And you'll notice here that the distance learning is an option as well. The distance learning model, or the model that the Chula Vista Elementary School District plans to start the year off in August 31st. Let's take a look at what the distance learning model will be. As with the other two models, safety considerations are of utmost importance. When the risk level is high, you will see distance learning. And because the risk level right now is high, you are seeing us embark upon the distance learning model. The external factors, such as the state, federal, and local government advisories, support this decision that physically closing our sites is the best course of action right now for the safety and well-being of all of our stakeholders. Sites will be closed except for essential personnel. Indicators might include rising infection rates, a high degree of medical uncertainty, or infections within our own school community being on the rise. There are no on-site activities with the exception of IDEA mandates. Childcare will be provided for essential workers and families of unduplicated students. We believe the locus of control should remain with the parents to make decisions about the health and safety of their children, and all courses and activities will be conducted virtually. Distance learning in this type of instructional model is the only option because of the safety considerations and the risk level being high. What are the 4 pillars that we are working with to ensure that our children are safe regardless of the instructional model? We're looking at physical distancing. We're looking at hygiene and disinfecting. We're looking at health screening and monitoring. And we're also looking at personal protective equipment, or PPE. Let's take a closer look at those 4 pillars. The personal protective equipment. You'll notice here, in order to keep children safe, we're looking at specific barriers. We're looking at masks for children and adults alike. We're looking at face shields. We also have purchased thermometers. We've purchased devices where a child or an employee can take their temperature and at the same time put their hand underneath the device and get a squirt of sanitizer to ensure that they have clean hands and that there's no germs present. You'll notice a survey that we have taken with the Chula Vista Elementary School District. In the upper right-hand corner, that number, 17,035, those are how many respondents we had to our survey. And the question is, while schools are implementing distance learning, who would need childcare? You'll notice that 80% of our respondents stated that they would not need childcare. However, 20%, or approximately 3,500 of our families did state that they needed childcare. For this reason, we will be providing childcare for our essential worker and for our unduplicated children. Another one of the questions is, when Chula Vista does return to in-person instruction, once again, that being our ultimate goal, who is interested in the distance learning model? You'll notice here that out of those 17,035 respondents, almost 6,000, or 5,778, 34% of those surveyed did state that they would like to continue in the distance learning model. So we know that even when we come back to in-person, face-to-face instruction, there is a significant amount of our community that wants to stay in the distance learning model. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we get this model right. And speaking of getting this model right, let's take a look at what the differences are between COVID crisis teaching and learning that started back in March and concluded in June, and what distance learning is going to look like as we embark on this new school year. The COVID crisis teaching and learning was really marked by a focus on social emotional learning. Daily schedules were very, very flexible. They were so flexible, as a matter of fact, that no grades and no assessments were taken, and attendance was not taken either. There was an optional use of technology. And so you can see that the parameters and the accountability were not there in comparison to the distance learning of 2021 in accordance with Assembly Bill 77. You'll notice a stark difference where daily live interaction with teachers and peers is required for distance learning in accordance with AB 77. Whereas in the COVID crisis, teacher check-ins were done to the extent possible. You'll also notice that there's a daily requirement of instructional minutes based on grade level. And in the COVID crisis teaching, there were varied weekly instructional minutes. In the distance learning, in accordance with AB 77, we're going to have proactive preparation, proactive training. You'll notice that the instruction will be aligned to grade level standards. It will be rigorous. It will be high quality and intellectually challenging instruction that is structured around a daily schedule. There will be required access to connectivity and devices so that every child has access to high quality, rigorous instruction. There will be instructional support to address our LCAP students, our unduplicated students, our children learning English as a second language, our children with disabilities, students in the foster care system, children who are experiencing homelessness, and any child who may be struggling or who have experienced learning loss. We also will require the adherence to student IEPs and support in special education. There will be designated and integrated ELD for our English learners. There's required progress monitoring, and there's daily attendance taken so that we can ensure anybody who is disengaged can be re-engaged and we can support their learning journey. So what's a possible instructional day look like for a 6th grade student in the Chula Vista Elementary School District? You'll notice there's a time frame, there's activities, and there's details. But let's go to 8 o'clock to 8:30 a.m. where the activity might be an Achieve 3000 article or independent learning. Students will work independently during this time, and teachers can use this time to meet with grade level collaboration team to ensure that every child is getting that rigorous instruction, and they can talk to their grade level peers on what has gone well and what they may want to change to ensure that rigor. You'll notice from 8:30 to 9:45, a virtual lesson with language arts. The teacher can provide a 30-minute live lesson, and students will then be sent off to work on an asynchronous task, which means it could be something that's not live with the teacher, that frees the teacher up to use the rest of that block to work in small groups or individual students. Small groups could be groups of children learning English as a second language who need some critical ELD support. The teacher could also work with individual children. Maybe that teacher has a child who's experiencing homelessness and just needs to talk for a brief period of time. You'll also notice that there's time for an electronic brain break from 10:15 to 10:45. You'll also notice that there's a 45 minutes for lunch or another electronics brain break. You'll also notice in here that the teacher has office hours. So from 2 o'clock to 3:15, in this example, the teacher has office hours where they can communicate with parents, they can get grading done, and they can ensure that the rigorous educational experience children deserve is being executed. We're also very excited that in Chula Vista, we have project-based learning enrichment units. And these enrichment units could count for those asynchronous activities that I mentioned in the previous slide. Children will get the exposure of project-based learning that embed English language arts, career exploration, mathematics, writing, science and engineering, and social studies. And these project-based units will span anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, where children are constantly going through projects, they're going through the engineering design process, they're exploring careers. This is going to be a great opportunity for all children to get project-based learning enrichment. And it's also going to help benefit the teacher work with small groups or individual groups of children who need that support. The platform that the Chula Vista Elementary School District is using is Microsoft Teams. Teams is a great way to have calendaring function, chat function, email, documents for teachers and students to communicate, to collaborate, and learn together. Microsoft Teams and all of the functionality will be known to our parents, to our children, and parents and stakeholders in particular will be receiving information in video format on how the platform operates and how they can support their children in this journey. We also have many parent resources at www.cvesd.org. Parent resources that are available to help parents support their children, to help get their child ready for distance learning. You'll notice parent resources in early childhood education, language development, social emotional learning. You'll notice YouTube channels for multi-tiered system of supports, YouTube channel available for our visual and performing arts program, the YouTube channel available for our physical education, and also we have an amazing group of educators. We have an occupational therapist who has also created a YouTube channel. So there are so many different parent resources that will help you, help your child, and help our community move together strong before we get to in-person learning. Thank you once again for participating in the distance learning presentation. We're very excited to reconvene, and Dr. Escobedo, our superintendent, will be able to answer any questions that you may have. Once again, thank you. We're in this together. We look forward to seeing you and your children face to face when it is safe and when we can to get our kids back to school where they belong.
Okay, great. Hopefully that helped answers maybe some questions, or it may help create even more questions. So I'll be happy to spend some time to answer any questions that you may have. I have Dr. Sarisa, who's in charge of curriculum and instruction, as well, of course, as Matthew Tessier, our narrator. By the way, he oversees our technology and the extension learning from our innovation station. So Dominic, will you facilitate, or do I look at the chat box?
I would ask you to look at the chat box. And additionally, for folks that are on, I have to apologize. We only have about a few minutes for questioning, and we'll work with our superintendents to make sure that any questions that aren't answered, we'll get back to the parents through email or through channels that are available to you all.
Okay.
The time limit on my Zoom account, we won't have that much time for questions, but please go ahead.
Okay, so I will start quickly, and if I need any help, Dr. Sarisa and Matthew just intercede. Will CAP testing resume this year? It's my understanding that it will. We have not received any information that CAS has been delayed or postponed or even canceled. So the metrics, is my understanding, will be the same. I would believe that the one test that will not continue until we come back is the PE test. Fifth graders take PE, so more than likely that won't occur. But if anything changes, we will let you know. Next questions, I would like to simply know the daily schedule. You should be receiving a daily schedule from your teacher, hopefully within a week before school starts. We just finished the MOU, and maybe Dr. Cerisa can add to that, because I know many parents want to know, when do kids begin, when do kids end, critical information. Anything you can add to that, Dr. Cerisa?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Escobedo. So our teachers officially returned back to work on August 26th. You should be hearing more information from your site principals on some of that scheduling information, and then more specific information from your child's teachers once everything is resuming and back in place.
Okay. Also, I want to know more details about the proposed blood testing. There is no blood testing. Unfortunately, there's been rumors of people donating blood or testing. What we have, this is what we have. When kids come back, not on the 31st, but when children come back, we have to test to mitigate the spread of COVID. We are exploring right now an organization called Kahala, and also the county health services is helping us as well. Part of it is using the swab to see if anyone is infected with the virus. A secondary part of the test is a prick of the finger to find out if you have antibodies, meaning have you been infected with the virus. But again, we're exploring, and that will only happen once we come back. And if it does happen, it's completely voluntary. It's just a means to mitigate any further contagion. We want to eliminate any possibility of a second wave. So thank you. I would like to know how distance learning for TK is being planned. I need to get back to you on that one, but anything you can say, Dr. Cerisa, about TK?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a minimum number of required instructional minutes, even for our little ones, even for TK. So right now, our transitional kinder teams are working together in giving some sample schedules, or what might that look like. So our teams are working together to make sure that your little ones are getting the required number of instructional minutes per day.
You know, Dr. Cerisa, I see a lot of questions on daily schedule. So we have to push that forward as best as we can. That's really important for our parents. What's being considered for situations in which household has more than one child and different when it comes to conference time with their teachers? That's one of the reasons we have a great, partnership with the Y. So if you have, let's say, a conference time, I think this is what I understand, with the teacher, and it's one-on-one, and you may need childcare. I hopefully am answering your question. If not, I definitely want to understand it better. We will provide childcare in case you have different grade levels happening at the same time. Again, more is another one, I think, is Rachel Hart. Is the teachers union okay with the plans for moving back into the classroom when the threat? We have just a couple of days ago or a day ago agreed on the MOU on distance learning. We're working on the MOU on the safety plan. So we're working on it, and I have very optimistic that everything is going to work out between us. So thank you for that question. Another one, I believe, is Frida Hernandez. Can you please consider opening schools for safe social instance, recreation, sports? Wow, that's a great. We're having the YMCA. We're partnering up with the YMCA, and it's going to be like a day camp experience as well as distance learning. So we're going to have some type of recreation, but it's not going to be the traditional sports like we know. But we definitely need to make sure our kids move. That is critical. We can't have too much of the screen time. Kids need to move. So thank you very much for bringing that. Oh boy, I think we're about to run out of time. I wish we had more time.
Francisco, I actually just notified that.
Okay, sorry guys.
No, Oh, you have more time to answer questions. I apologize.
Oh, I do have more time. Okay, great, great. Okay, so let's see. I believe this is Frida. Can we look into maintaining a hybrid model of schooling? I am okay with my child spending more time at home versus school. Moreover, is sadly reassuring to know my child is safe at home than at school. Yes, absolutely. We're always going to have a distance learning option, no matter where we are in the risk factor. So for those parents who want to remain in distance learning, we will always have that option. Eric Nedelman, we're not sending our kids back to in-school until it's required to have vaccination. That is fine, Mr. Nedelman. Again, we'll always keep distance learning as an option. Can this presentation please be sent to parents? You know what we'll do? This is from Frida again. We will place this information on the website for you to download. Okay, so you and any other parent can download this narrated presentation. This is from, I believe, Kayla Prince. My question: distance learning, Zoom participation. I'm really don't understand the question. I'm sorry. I think what you mean is, can parents participate, I guess, in distance learning? That, I believe, Dr. Sarisa, any thoughts about that?
Regarding the Zoom, I'm sorry, I was trying to follow the question as well.
I believe parents attending the lessons with the student. I think that's what the...
Okay, so I haven't heard any plans yet to have the parents attend the lessons with the child. What I can share with you is that we are right now in the process of establishing parent trainings with the Microsoft Teams platform, so that parents understand how to navigate the platform, how to support their child. So we'll have some training sessions for our parents with that, and also with how to utilize our Achieve 3000 technology accelerators, how to utilize our math accelerator called iReady. So we know that one of the most important factors is training our parents to support our teachers with the instruction that they're providing to the students. So more to come on that. Check the website for parent information on those technology components.
This is by Linda B. What is an unduplicated student? An unduplicated student is a foster youth, homeless student, a special ed student, and I believe...
And then low income.
And low income. So we're going to try to provide childcare for those unduplicated students. Thank you for asking that question. I believe that was Linda. Thank you, Linda. Cynthia, I would like to suggest that we stop emphasizing perfect attendance. That creates even more incentive for students, parents to ignore mild symptoms. You know, health is number one, but we do need to emphasize the importance of attending. So we will balance it. So thank you, Cynthia, for that suggestion. Kayla, sorry to send too soon. Both parents are essential. Okay. I think Armando. Oh, thank you, Armando, for answering the question. Rachel, are all students going to be tested when they return in-person instruction? What plans are being put in place to avoid having to close an entire school when the children do return? Okay, that's a great question. So monitoring is very critical. Monitoring symptoms is very important. Taking temperatures is very important. There'll probably be sporadic tests at least once every 2 months, definitely for all adults. That is critical to avoid a second wave. And remember, we're not planning to bring everyone in at the same time. We're going to do a gradual, entrance, and we're going to plan to start with the little ones, with K1, 2, see how that works for a time, and then maybe bring in the rest. If, again, we will be monitoring community contagion rates And until this is at a very low point, we're not going to bring everyone back. So I just want to make sure that I am in contact weekly with the county health officials, specifically Barbara Jimenez and Dr. William Wooten. And we will not make that decision until the safe to return. Ms. Ana Gutierrez, will the presentation address a plan for special day class IEP? We are working with our special ed students. We're looking at IEPs. We're working with our classified union. There's a possibility, especially with our moderate and severe students, for a portion of the time, giving them some classroom time with the guidance by the teacher on the screen. So we're trying to also work with those students that desperately need to be at school. So Sharon Casey, who's in charge of our special ed department, is monitoring that and will be communicating with many of our IEP students. Thank you for that question. Very important question. We've got to take care of our special ed students. Linda B, yes, we want to put the presentation. Rachel, Dr. E's newsletter goes to all emails. Yes, I send a newsletter every 2 weeks. Please make sure we have your email address or your phone number. So you receive, and we get thousands of people reading it. So I try to give you the most updated information as possible. Plus, I add, like this last newsletter is a great video vignette that our parent liaison, Angelica Maldonado, created for you. Because, you know, you guys are partners with us. We need you. We need you more than ever to make sure that our kids are safe and they're learning. Okay, trying to look through. I think, Carolina, will you be adding to MERV 13 air filters as other districts have? You know, I'll have our facilities look into that possibility of filters. Thank you, Carolina. We will look into that. Rachel, excused days do not count against perfect attendance. However, the allowed number of days due to this should be increased. You know, I'm going to put that into consideration, Rachel. Thank you very much. That's a great point. Hey, Dominic, is there any way I can get a printout of these comments?
I can work on that, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm going through them. How much time do I have left?
You can technically stop at 12:40. The event officially ends at 1 p.m.
Okay, okay. So, Margaret Thomas, how does parents find who their child's teacher is? Which distance learning site, Google or Zoom, is the teacher using? Okay. Dr. Sarisa, can you answer that? This is from, I believe, Margaret Thomas. Sure. About when will they find who their child teacher is?
Sure. Again, this is information that should be coming from your specific school site. So we will communicate with our principals first thing on Monday to make sure that they're getting all of that information out to you as soon as possible. I can see how important that information is to each of you. So you should be hearing about that. Regarding the platform that we're going to be using as we start the new school year, Microsoft Teams right now is the platform that we are committed to using. It's the one that our district supports. So you can plan for that to be the platform that we start with.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarisa. Carolina, will you be informing parents of the schools and classrooms that don't have windows that open so they can make an informed decision? We will absolutely do. And one of the things that we've been doing is mapping out each classroom. We even bought tents so that we can hold classrooms outside, hold classrooms in multi-purpose rooms. So we're looking at outdoor spaces when we come back as well. So just want to share with you that We do realize that there's some schools that don't have or very minimal ventilation except for their air conditioning. So we're looking at different areas within the school to provide instruction. So it may not be in the classroom, maybe outside, which for some kids, they would love that. Again, God, there's so many comments on daily schedules, Dr. Sarisa.
I see that. Very important.
Wow. It's okay, Sarah, my son has been in the summer camp this past week. My Microsoft Teams have been slow, lots of glitches. Okay, thank you. We are learning quite a bit. I know what has been happening. AT&T, who provides all the internet access, has gone down several times because I guess the electrical grid has been unstable. It has unfortunately nothing to do with Microsoft Teams. It's just the internet providers have been having challenges, but we'll definitely look into the to ensure that you have reliable streaming. But unfortunately, with what's happening with the heat, that may be an issue throughout the county, regardless of what platform you're using. So thank you, and thank you for your patience. Okay, Terry Winbush, how will children be graded and assessed? This is a great question, Dr. Sarisa. And how will dual immersion programs work? Excellent question, Terry Winbush.
Okay, so first let's talk a little bit about grading and assessment. So your students will be graded, and the progress for how your students are doing will be monitored carefully. So one of the things that we know is going to be really, really important when our kids come back to school is that we are able to measure where that learning is for each of our students so that our teachers can use that information to create lessons that are unique to the specific needs of the children. So monitoring progress is essential. We plan to do assessments at the beginning of the year, mid-year to monitor progress, and then again at the end of the year so that we can see really what the growth was. So being able to intervene and use that data formatively to create lessons is what we're planning to do for this upcoming school year. Regarding dual immersion, we're going to maintain the integrity of our dual immersion programs. We have excellent dual immersion programs across the district, and so those programs will continue. Right now, our principals are working together to collaborate and ensure that if there is a 90-10 model at the school site, that we're able to maintain that and to continue that. As well, we have coordinators at the district office who are working on creating materials and resources for our dual immersion teachers. Our teachers have access to resources that will support them in a distance learning format, and dual immersion teachers are part of that.
Okay, two more questions, and unfortunately I have to end. And by the way, I found out that another amazing trustee, Trustee Lori Humphreys, has joined us, or it has been in our session. So thank you, Ms. Humphreys. You are, by the way, she was a retired teacher, has been an outstanding trustee. So thank you, Trustee Lori Humphreys. So two more questions. Can teachers be required to provide parents with, yes, schedule, we're going to get schedules. And can teachers, also, can teachers collaborate to that mandated on time between grade is different? Okay, I'm not really sure but we'll read over this question and send. Now that the county is applying to be removed from the state watch list, does this mean the risk level has changed? It depends, not only at county, but we're looking at our own community as well. Okay, so it's almost a two-prong effect to start coming back. But yes, county getting off the monitoring list does help, and we will monitor our situation. Last question, and again, I want to answer all these questions, so we will get back and probably incorporate a lot of this in an FAQ sheet that I'll send to all of you, okay? Thank you, Tara. That's what we will do. Josh, my student was supposed to have a new IEP in May. What will happen for students with IEPs, and how will they be provided services such as speech therapy, occupational therapy, which we were receiving 4 days a week? My understanding, Dr. Sarisa, is that those services will continue. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. So the services for your child that have been established in the IEP will continue. They won't be compromised in any way. If your child is up for a review or for an assessment, those assessments will continue as well.
Wow, there's 64 more messages. We tried our best, but we will review the remaining. We will put it in an FAQ. We'll put it on the website. You guys make us better, because the more question you give us, the better prepared we could all be. Again, thank you for being here. Spread the word. I'm going to do something similar in the DAC-DLAC meeting next week on Tuesday. It's on my newsletter. Please review it, and I'll try to have that FAQ by then as well. So really appreciate all of you being here, and Dr. Weber is just an amazing, amazing woman, and I really appreciate her organizing this as well. President Farias, thank you for being here also. And thank you, Dominic, for being an outstanding facilitator.
Thank you so much.